What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports. You're watching our SEC channel. Boy, week 3, very interesting in the SEC. Had 3 conference games, and I think our perceptions changed about a lot of teams in the SEC. It was a very unpredictable weekend of college football, especially in this conference. Number 14, Vanderbilt, embarrassing loss. This team is not good at all. Preseason, I thought they were the worst team. A lot of people disagreed with that. I have not been right about everything, that's for sure, but I think I was accurate in the assessment of the Commodores, and that's that this is the worst team in the conference. They proved that so far. Number 13, Mississippi State, and I mean they just got obliterated by LSU. Game was not close at all. What were the yards, like 300 and something to, I mean, just a few yards at halftime. I mean, they couldn't get anything going until they finally got that one drive. Just an ugly game here for Mississippi State. This team has a lot of work to do. Survived against Arizona. That was a really big win. That win, maybe at the end of the year, you might look back and say that's the win that got them to a bowl game. I don't know how it's all going to play out, but not looking good here, or at least this week. And maybe it's just LSU's that good. We'll see as we get further into the season. Number 12, Arkansas. Boy, tough loss against BYU. The defense didn't play great. That's what you expected to see Arkansas do this year. And overall, even before that, playing some cupcake games, they haven't been overly impressive. This is a team that's definitely been a disappointment so far. Got them at number 12. Number 11, South Carolina, actually moving up in the rankings because they put up a great fight against Georgia. Actually, they dominated the first half of that game. In second half, Georgia showed what they can do when they play at their best, and South Carolina had no chance at that point. But still, give them a lot of credit for the fight in this game, and they were able to take that lead into the half. Spencer Rattler continues to play pretty well for them, but they've just got issues, and this was another team in the preseason that I said would not be great this year. So again, I'm not trying to say I knew everything that was going to happen, but there were some things I was right about. Vanderbilt and South Carolina not being great. Appears that was pretty accurate, but I think there's more room for South Carolina to improve. I think this team could be, and if you watch my preseason predictions, I picked South Carolina to go 6-6, but I picked them to beat Clemson at the end of the year because I thought this was a team that would get better later in the season. We'll see if that does happen. Number 10, Kentucky. Wildcats were waiting on them to play a quality opponent, but they're sitting there at number 10. At least they didn't struggle like they did the week before. Number 9, Auburn. We're going to find out about the Tigers coming up the next 2 weeks. Texas A&M and Georgia are going to be very tough games. I don't really see them winning either game, but how they compete in those games, I think, will tell us a lot about how good this Auburn team is and potentially what the outlook for them is the rest of the season. But we'll see if they can compete with Texas A&M. That's going to be a big game coming up on Saturday. Number 8, Tennessee, dropping quickly. This was not a good performance. The win against Virginia we thought was really good, but look, Virginia just went out and Maryland beat them pretty easily. I know Virginia, that game I think was tied at halftime, but still, we saw when Maryland played well, the game was not close at all. Tennessee's defense couldn't seem to tackle, especially in that first half against Florida. Joe Milton showed flashes of greatness in this game, but he showed so many plays where they were just terrible. Like, you either got really good plays from him or really bad plays. Just the inconsistency is going to be a problem for them, and Florida really just took it to him in this game. I think there's still room for this team to bounce back, but based off of what we saw, and remember, these are power rankings, so we're not looking at the whole season, really looking at how the teams have played more recently. I know there have only been 3 games, but really how they played the last week or maybe the last couple of weeks. Tennessee, not great the last 2 weeks. Number 7, Texas A&M. Easy win for them this week. They're going to get a chance moving forward. You get Auburn, you get Arkansas, a chance to prove. I think they're a top 25 team. They will get that chance again to prove that. We'll see. But really haven't learned a whole lot about them just yet. Alabama, number 6. Going back to Jalen Milroe, I think is the right decision. I think this team has potential to bounce back with him at quarterback just because of his athleticism. I don't think this team will be great in the passing game all year, but if they can get that offensive line figured out and run the football a little bit better, Milroe back there, defense we expect to play really well for them. And so I think there's time for this team to get back to into the top 2 or 3. But right now, based off of especially the last 2 weeks, It's not good for Alabama, and I've got them at number 6. Number 5, Florida. The Gators looked really good against Tennessee, and you go back to that game against Utah. If they don't make all those mistakes, do they potentially win that game or at least have a chance to win it? We'll never know, obviously, but they looked really good against Tennessee. The run game was back. This was the run game I expected to see out of Florida. Graham Mertz has been solid for them, even using his legs at times. He's done a really nice job. The defense played pretty well against Tennessee. The Gators right now sitting at number 5. Number 4, Missouri. Big win, beating Kansas State with the long field goal, of course. This team, first 2 weeks we kind of wondered about them, but they definitely, if you look at Brady Cook, I mean, he's been inconsistent this year as well, but he looked really good in this game. We've seen him not look great at times. Same thing kind of with the defense. This team has been inconsistent, but when they play their A game, this is one of the better teams in the SEC, and they showed that against Kansas State. Ole Miss, number 3, they take care of business against Georgia Tech. Not an overly dominant performance, but played well enough to win comfortably, and they're going to get their big test against Alabama on Saturday. LSU had the best performance of week 3, I should say. No doubt about it. This team looked fantastic, both sides of the ball. Just really no complaints if you're an LSU fan after that performance. And moving forward, you get Arkansas, you get Ole Miss, a chance to really build some momentum as they head into some tough games down the stretch. And then at number 1, Georgia. Georgia staying at that top spot. First half against South Carolina is not great, but we saw what this team is capable of. When they bring it, they are still among the elite teams in college football. They did that in the second half against South Carolina, and that second half is the only reason why Georgia is still number 1 in these power rankings. I think LSU might have a chance to knock them off, though, based off of what we've seen so far, if LSU can play the way they played last week. So those are my power rankings. Give me your thoughts and your rankings down in the comments below.